everyone, and welcome to another News Coolum video and another charging site review. And who'd have guessed it? I'm here at a Tesla Supercharger site, and I guess I need to do a site review. Now, my site reviews have been limited to public charging providers basically forever, because I don't see the point in reviewing a charging site that isn't open and available to the public. And Teslas have just never, their supercharger sites have just never met that mark, right? So that basic requirement that they be open and available for everyone to use. But I'm here in Placerville, and guess what? The supercharger is open and available. So yeah, let's just jump right into a site score. Here we are in Placerville. There are a couple of Teslas charging over there. I'm not gonna get too much in their way, but yeah, let's just start right off with access, because one of the things is just over that wall there is the Highway 50 freeway. At least going eastbound, this is not the most accessible site to get into. I would say, yeah, it's very inconvenient. And in addition to having to make multiple turns to get from the freeway, it's a pretty busy, large parking structure. So, and this is in the far end of it. So overall, it's getting dinged a little bit for access because of its location here. But then the other thing is too, for Teslas, I think this is a little bit better because, well, no, because even then they still don't have any of their pull-in charging stalls. These, as far as Teslas are concerned, are all still back-in charging. It does have a little bit better access, I would say, for non-Tesla EVs. But if you're, say, in trying to think, like an EGMP car has charging port that's very similar to where the Bolt EUVs is. So you would probably prefer to use this last stall first, because any of the other stalls, you're going to be blocking one over, and there's going to be an additional stall blocked or taken. And then, of course, the other thing that I'm really big on in terms of access is full pull-through. Now, a lot of Tesla sites that even have pull-in parking, not quite the same as pull-through, because you're still blocking some of the driving paths or multiple other parking spaces that aren't designed for a vehicle to be oriented that way. So, but this doesn't even have that. So the lack of pull-through parking, the large parking lot that you have to get through, and the number of turns you have to make to get from the freeway here, I would give this an 8 out of 10 for site access. Now, for site amenities, this actually has a decent number of things, right? You have a lot of different stores here. A lot of different places that you could shop. I haven't seen too many places in terms of eateries, but you could find quick things to grab at places like Target, auto parts stores, things of that nature. So there's plenty of stuff to do relatively close to these chargers. I would say that the big issue in terms of amenities here is this does lack any sort of a solar canopy that would cover the chargers. Right now it's raining and I'm getting wet a little bit. I have my rain jacket on, but it's drizzling on the cars, it's drizzling on the people who would be charging here. So just in terms of that, and then of course no squeegees, no trash cans, none of the other sort of amenities that you would typically associate with a travel stop. So I would give this site an 8 out of 10 in terms of amenities. Now, for site concentration, right, there are 8 chargers here. We've gotten to a point where, as far as supercharger sites are concerned, this is relatively small, but as far as public charging sites are concerned, it's still on the larger side. So while I wouldn't give this a 10 out of 10 for having 8 chargers, it's doing pretty well for itself in terms of how many vehicles you can support, especially since, Highway 50 can be a busy freeway. but there's multiple charging site options along this route. And I just think personally that 8 charging stalls active at a single time, that's a pretty decent concentration. And maybe some people would say it's the bare minimum at this point, but I would give it an 8 out of 10 for site concentration at this point, having 8 active stalls that are available at any given time. Now, in terms of location, this site is, I would say it's important, but it's not crucial. And again, like I said, there's a lot of charging infrastructure along this route. For a non-Tesla EV owner, having this site available is a big bonus, but it's not what I would consider a crucial site. It's more along the lines of important and nice to have heading up into the mountains, heading up to South Lake Tahoe. And again, like you can grab some supplies, amenities, things like that along the way. But in terms of just making trips feasible and possible in terms of the population that it's supporting, I think I would give this a 9 out of 10 in terms of importance. These freeway locations are still very important. And now in terms of charging speed, this is a little bit difficult to say because these are V3 Superchargers. I could try to go find the cabinet, but I don't know that they would be there. But here you have this. See, it's actually showing the rated voltage and the rated amperage, and this actually confirms what I've been told, that these are actually 350 amp adapters. I believe, for the Tesla, it's a 631 amp is what the V3 Superchargers are. But the fact that it's limited to 500 volts is really what limits the speed. These are effectively somewhere between a 150 and a 250 kilowatt class of charger, which is just basically a notch below the much faster 350 kilowatt chargers that are available. So yes, they can max out Teslas at a very fast rate, but Teslas also max out at just over 250 to maybe 260, 270 kilowatts, whereas the fastest public chargers currently available can max out the fastest charging EVs at about 350 kilowatts. So this is just basically a notch below that. This is a 9 out of 10 for charging speed. All right, so there you have it. If my math figures are right, that would be a 42 out of 50 for a total site score, which is a strong B. So the main issues here are access and amenities. Both of those are 8 out of 10. The access, no pull-through parking, I don't really give any ground on that, especially now with more and more EVs capable of towing and pulling significant trailers, not having a pull-through option. And then if Tesla is going to open up their superchargers, being able to facilitate the charging ports for different vehicles is going to be super important as well. And this site kind of doesn't do either of those particularly well. And then throw onto that, you're in a large parking structure, all the way at the back of a busy parking structure. It makes it a little bit more difficult to justify giving anything higher than an 8 out of 10 for access. And then in terms of amenities, there's a decent number of things to do here, but you're still missing some very basic travel amenities. Not as many eateries as I would like nearby. And then, of course, the big one is no sort of any canopy or covering at all to protect the chargers from the elements, especially at an elevation where you could easily get snow, sleet, that sort of thing. And it's raining right now. I can barely be outside without my camera getting soaked. So only 8 out of 10 for amenities. In terms of the charging location, though, I waffled back and forth, and I feel like a 9 out of 10 is fair for the location, just in terms of where the site is located on the freeway, the connecting route, the vehicle population. This is a fairly important travel charger, so it is nice to see. And then, of course, for the actual site concentration, this is an area where I go back and forth. I think 8 is a very solid number for a public charging site at this point, but it's nothing exemplary, right? 12 is probably the ideal number right now, and anything past that I wouldn't increase the score. But an 8 out of 10 I think is a solid 8 in terms of site concentration. It's just enough chargers to make sure that people can access reasonably in all but the busiest times. And then for speed, this is going to probably be a bit controversial, but yeah, it's only a 9 out of 10 for speed, just because they're only 500 volt chargers, meaning they can't max out the fastest charging EVs. And from what we know, it's not going to be able to max out the Cybertruck or even close to it. And there are public chargers currently deployed that can charge at a full 350 kilowatt. And so these are just sort of a notch below that, a 9 out of 10 for speed. So I'd love to hear what you think. What do you think of my first site review of a Tesla charging site, and what do you think? What do you think about like my overall scoring metrics? What do you think about superchargers being open to non-Tesla EV owners, CCS EV owners? You know, what are your expectations in terms of maybe my site reviews moving forward, testing out the different Tesla sites versus others? And in terms of, yeah, just the criteria, like I said, amenities, access issues, that sort of thing. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and thank you for watching.